So I'm gonna revisit something we talked about last week. Right before we got off, people were upset at my Andree 3000 take.
They were.
I said he's the most overrated GOAT in the conversation. Right?
Yeah.
Young Thug was on T.I.'s podcast Expeditiously, and he said that he never paid attention to Andree 3000 in his life. He can't rap 2 songs by him. Now,
he's lying.
He's definitely lying because people got pictures of him with the Andree
3000
Andree Badu and stuff like that. But it was interesting because like you said, the narrative is like Atlanta, everybody stick together, we all,
that is the narrative out there. Yeah.
And Andree, even though I said he's not a GOAT, I think he should be respected as one of the greats, obviously. So to say something...
Okay, now you're confusing me.
No, I'm not. I said he's not the greatest of all time, and he should not be in the conversation.
Malcom is backtracking.
He's great, though. I never said he wasn't.
That's true. That's right.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
But
he don't have a long enough catalog, a solo catalog, for you to be put up there with those who have 9, 10. Even for me, Big Pun is... If he had longevity, I could say he was one of the greats, but he loses by de facto because he only had 2 albums. You know what I mean? So I can't put him up there with somebody who has 13 albums, 12 albums, who has transcended time, and so I get that.
And real quick on the Andree point, people didn't start putting him up there until his features. So the whole time you rapping with Outkast, you rapping with Big Boy, who is lyrically amazing as well.
Yes.
Nobody was calling him the GOAT then. But that's neither here nor there. But we're just talking about Young Thug, who said that he would rather revere somebody like Elton John.
Because Elton John kisses ass? That was a weird statement. Very weird statement. And listen, whatever you feel about Andree 3000, because my thing is, I think he tried to be too Jimi Hendrix-like. He tried to be too eccentric in who he is and hasn't made himself readily available through his art, but that's his choice. So, you keep your value high if you do that. Rakim was famous for that. Everybody dropping, and Rakim made you wait until he was ready to deliver the gems, and it made you appreciate it more. So, but we're in a different time, and I don't know, how is he sustaining this stuff? Is his royalties all of that?
I don't know, man.
I
would assume,
Yeah, so...
He doesn't look like he spends too much anyway.
Yeah, I saw him here on the street. He looked hungry.
Seriously?
And nigga looked like he was thirsty. He had like a harmonica in his hand. He needed a fucking haircut. It looked like he needed to go neat.
Somebody said, we make no sense because Big only had 2 albums.
I never said Big is the greatest of all time.
I never said that either. Like, I'm confused.
Listen, I am not of the, that notion that Big is the greatest of all time. Now, as a point of reference, when you want to know about the unknown, you study the known. So if I listen to Big's, catalog, I can easily see where he would have projected. You know what I mean? In terms of the greatest of all time. And sometimes there are exceptions to that rule, because what you do in such a short period of time shifts the consciousness of the people. Hip hop was never the same after Biggie left, meaning what he came in that short period of time, he did that damn thing. So we always give an honorable mention for something of that magnitude. But when we start talking the greatest, first of all, there is no greatest of all time, in the grand scheme of things. But for the sake of the conversation, I'm looking at Jay-Z. I'm looking at Nas. I'm looking at Tupac, who had 700 songs. I'm looking at, people who are Snoop Dogg, people who came in 90s and is still here 20 years later, still relevant. Side note, Snoop did a great job calling those fights.
He did.
Oh, man.
He did.
He really added the sauce to that, as somebody was saying in the chat. He did that. Outkast sold 10 million on one record. Yeah, but that comes and goes. That was 20 years ago.
Because I don't say.
And how much did they own of it? Let's keep it a buck.
I don't say Eminem is the greatest of all time.
Right. I've never said that.
He's won Diamond. Nelly's won Diamond twice. Like, what does sales have to do with anything in this conversation? Is Nelly the greatest of all time? I don't think so. Yeah, man. Listen,
Sharon McAllister. Thank you so much.
When you say people get emotional. when it comes to hip hop, especially when New York, we from the Bronx and we talk about hip hop, people from everywhere else get so sensitive.
They get very sensitive because I'm standing on Mount Everest of this goddamn thing, and it really pisses people off because you want to rep your region, and I get it. This thing is spread, and everyone has their legends, everyone has their greatest, everyone has who has inspired them, and I respect it all, but it all comes back to the source. You know what I mean? So when I speak on it, I'm trying to speak on it from, you know, a place of understanding that maybe most people don't have, you know, unless you from the BX.
Jeez.
You heard? Lil Wayne's got a new one out.
Oh, No Ceilings 3.
No Ceilings 3.
You heard that joint with him and Drake?
I heard
My
that was
Lord.
Drake is ridiculous.
Yo.
Yes.
See, when he raps like that,
when he just goes off,
he just, oh my
he ain't
God,
into all the fancy smancy. He's just giving you bars. Yeah, yeah.
And Wayne got off on that too.
And Wayne, he set it up for Wayne, and Wayne took it home. Yeah, they killed that.
That was
Side note, I've been listening to Stove God Cooks.
Oh yeah, you put me on. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
If you into the Benny the Butcher stuff, and this is produced by Rock Marciano. His name used to be Aaron Cooks. Now he's Stove God Cooks. And his album was surprisingly great. It's called Reasonable Drought. And it is surprisingly great. Not surprised because I knew he can rhyme, but I kept saying I'm going to get around to listening to it, this and that. And then I finally put it in. I called Malcom immediately. Like, if you're working out, bro, you're going to need to put this in right here. Yeah. So there's a whole movement. Rock Marciano, of course, Griselda, Aaron, Stove God Cooks. It's a whole movement of underground, eccentric artists who have their own thing going, and I'm happy for them. I really am.